Welcome to another episode of Grief Heals, the podcast where we explore how it is that grief heals us with our relationship with ourselves, with one another, and our whole wide world. I am your host, Lisa Michelle Zega, and I am excited to have another conversation. Hello, party people, soul family. Wow, it is just so good to be here. And it is crazy for me to realize that I have been in California now for almost 18 days. And that in a couple short days, I will be heading back to Texas. So what a whirlwind this entire experience has been. I've been from LA to Orange County to San Diego and back to Orange County, and whew, just even saying it, I just feel the need to take a deep breath. So and just let my body relax so I can arrive right here, right now, with all my energy given to you. Whew. So I think I mentioned last time that I had been working on a 2-week workshop for individuals with housing instability who are re-entering the workforce. And like a whole new element of this workshop training that my partner and I have not done before. And we did it. Oh, I just want to celebrate that we came and we finally got to, it started as just a creation in our minds and then on paper, and now actually delivered and into the souls of beautiful humans. And what a learning experience. What a fascinating time. I mean, the thing about conducting a workshop is, one, for me, it's different every single time because what informs how it's going to go down are the people in the room. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, did I get to be with some just incredible and magical people. And people who, though very young, right? Like only in their 20s, early 20s, have experienced things that just humbled me. It humbled me to be invited into their stories. I was thanking one person for sharing with me things that were so deep, so personal, so raw that it was an honor. It was a privilege. These were not things that were owed to me, right? And so when I said that, the response was, I can see your aura. And I was so fascinated by that. And I was like, what color? What color did you see? And in case you're curious, it was light blue. I don't actually know a lot about colors and aura and all that, but it was really, really fascinating for this person to talk to me and tell me their story and tell me why they felt comfortable just sharing with me, sharing really deep and personal things. And what was fascinating. So in case you're curious, and I didn't say before, the way that we developed this training, some parts of it we had done before, but it's really around the concept of not like what's wrong with you. I'm going to borrow from Oprah Winfrey and Dr. Bruce Perry's book, What Happened to You, right? Not what's wrong with you, but what happened. And we shared from the perspective of, okay, well, what we absorbed, right, in our learning, what we absorbed in terms of stress in the environment, what we absorbed in terms of resources, starting with what we were absorbing even from the womb, and the build out of that, right, over time. And we incorporated brain science and just talked about all right, what from the brainstem to the limbic system, the midbrain, the prefrontal cortex, and the thinking brain, and how everything comes up through these emotional centers before we're ever really able to think about and discern even choice, right? Oh, so, and then we were doing that through the perspective of the conscious mind and the unconscious mind, and just even thinking about the unconscious mind as the body. Like, what has the body absorbed through senses, through sensations, through, and what meaning did the conscious mind make up? What stories did the conscious mind create around what the unconscious body experienced? And then we talked about, well, what does it take? How do we relax the filter between the conscious and the unconscious mind to allow what thoughts we and beliefs we want to have, we choose to have, to create a better experience even within the body? So it was so fascinating because there's one person that's really sticking out to me that it was obvious has slept multiple experiences, just slept on the streets, right? And I could see such uniqueness in this person, such a deep knowing, a deep seeing. When he would open his mouth, it was like, oh, such profound wisdom. And there's this exercise that we did at the very end where basically it's the concept that we're all leaking, we're all exposing what's going on the inside, even when we think we're not. And the exercise was that people would go around and they would write the magical things that they witnessed, the deep knowing of the beauty of each person there, right? And so this one person who I was just referencing, at the end, we basically said, what were some things that were written out for you that were surprising, that felt really personal, that maybe you haven't even heard before, that you want to celebrate or really soak in? And so every single person around the room that said something that was really deep and meaningful to them, they were able to ask, hey, who wrote this? It was him every single time. Now, it was a small group, but I was like, wow, such a deep seer, such a profound witness. Just the intensity of his observation was just so beautiful. In fact, he said some things to me that have not ever been said about me. One of the things that's sticking out right now is he called me artsy. I have never been called artsy, right? Like that just felt like, because I'm not artsy in the way that I think of artsy. So it was so beautiful just to feel witnessed in my own unique creativity. One of the things he said about me was like lightning bolt. One of the things he said about another person in the room was just vast. And he could see that, like, the bigness, the largeness of her person. And she felt so, just witnessed in this like deep knowing. And so why am I sharing all this on Grief Heals? Because what if part of our grief is being moved away from our own unique way, our own beauty, and just like the wonder, the genius of who each one of us is as an individual. And what if part of our grief is just not being witnessed in the unique beauty of who we are, because it gets drowned out in like the dominant voice of culture and how you're supposed to be. I mean, I'm reading a book right now called Mirroring Hands, and it is by, hold on, Ernest Hill and Rossi. It's Hill and Rossi, I believe, are the last names of the authors. Fabulous book, okay? But one of the things the examples that I think it's Ernest Hill gives. Is it Ernest Hill and Richard Rossi? Forgive me. I will get it in the show notes because it's not coming to me right now. So he's talking about, like, think about how many ways we are taught not to do something. And how many ways we are taught, like, okay, there's only one way. Just think about learning how to write the letter A. Okay, this is his example. Think about in school having to write it between these lines and just, there's only one way to write the letter A. I was sharing this story with my girlfriend, and she was telling me that the school that her kids went to when they were young, they were so strict about the children's handwriting that their work, even if it was their own poetry or whatever, would not even get graded or looked at if their handwriting wasn't what it was expected to be. Can you feel the loss in that experience? Because when she was telling me, on the one hand, I felt angry. And, anger, the emotion of anger, it's advocacy. Like, I wanted to advocate for all these students who were told there was only one right way to write, to form their letters, and then their unique voices being squashed or not witnessed because they weren't writing in that expected performance. So when he said that, it's like, is it Ernest Rossi and something Richard Hill? Maybe that's the names. Okay. But when they were saying this, and I was thinking about what happens to the individual spirit and how much our own unique genius gets layered and layered and layered upon, so much so that it is buried and squashed out. And I watched this person that I was sharing about come to life as he was witnessed again and again and again. And as Jenna and I worked and showed people how to access the brilliance of the subconscious mind, how to relax this filter between the conscious and the subconscious, and to create an experience of how and who we want to be, we choose to be in the world. And after only 40 short hours, seeing the transformation in people, and let me just make it super duper clear. We didn't create the transformation. You know what we've created? A space for people to be witnessed in their own gorgeous, brilliant uniqueness. Watching people come to life and own their own precious power. Do you know that every individual at that training ended up speaking at the graduation? We created a certificate program and around emotional intelligence and wellness for the workplace. But what it really is at its core, in its essence, is witnessing people in their brilliance, in their own voice, and letting them hear their own voice turned up in such a way that they really step into the majesty of who they are. And do you know what we also experienced is, in doing so, people entered the brilliance of one another and created a collective experience of being with each other as one beautiful, powerful being. It was just, I cannot even tell you the beauty of what we experienced, but it really did show me how slowing down to enter into the experience of what happened to us. How did our brain develop? What information did we absorb in this like literal hypnotic state, right? Where we're just, whatever's coming in, whatever sensations and It's coming in unfiltered. And then when we're so super duper young, like 3 years old, 4 years old, when we're talking and beginning to make meaning, we're forming the ideas and the beliefs that those sensations that we absorbed, like they're the ground that our beliefs form in. And if those sensations felt like somehow we were isolated, somehow we didn't matter, our unique brilliance didn't matter, then we can end up absorbing ideas like, I don't matter, I'm not enough, I'm not smart, I'm not good, I'm not okay. I'm going to share something that was like, so we did a lot of exercises of people getting to hear their own voice, right? So one of the people in the room, I did a mock interview, and afterwards we were all looking for our strengths, like, hey, what really worked about that experience? And this person said, nothing worked. It was awful. I am a terrible interviewer, right? Like, I just can't do this. Okay, fine. It's all made up. The person had their experience. We debriefed it, whatever. Same individual. This time they go up and they get to be the boss. They're the one providing the interview. Completely different experience, right? Like, they're relaxed, they're laid back. They ask the person coming in for the interview, how do you handle stress? And say, because I run a clinic that has a lot of stressful circumstances. So absolutely believable. All right, so when we're debriefing this, everybody's tripping out, talking about, wow, what a difference when you were the employee coming for an interview versus when you were the boss. And what we recognized is that as the boss, this person had absorbed all this information, like that the boss is the one in control, the boss is, has power, the boss gets to call the shots. And they'd absorbed information like, hey, the employee is a peon, the employee doesn't matter, the employee has no control. So when they came in as the employee interviewing for a position, they came in like dejected and looking to be judged and, monitored and analyzed. And they just came in defeated before they even started. But as the boss, they came in empowered and in control and creative, right? And it was all made up. Like, we were literally just having made up experiences. So I shared a story that I heard about a group of kindergartners. They were brought in, they were set into two different groups. Both groups were going to do a puzzle that was impossible to solve, right? Like, the first group came in and they worked on it and they gave up after like 15 minutes. Second group, they came in, same exact thing. The only difference is each of the kindergartners was asked to go grab a cape of their favorite superhero. Do you know that the second group wearing their superhero cape more than doubled the time invested in this puzzle? It might have even been tripled the time, okay? But the point being that this belief of like, oh, I'm wearing a superhero cape changed the way that they approached this puzzle. So this person essentially had put on an invisible I am the boss cape that changed everything about how they experienced this. Such incredible magic. And so we all recognized what it's like when we're trying on a belief that we've absorbed that resonates with our subconscious, and how we can take that powerful resourced state and bring it to the places where we feel like less or weaker, and recognize how those things are made up and how we can have a new experience where each of us feels seen, heard, loved. So we did this whole thing where we recognized what each of us absorbed through real lived experiences, our pain, our suffering, right? And we also recognized how do we go and meet that suffering in such a way to provide a new experience from the inside out. Another thing we recognized is whatever's happening on the inside of us is what we're creating on the outside. So like, I'll just speak for myself. When before this was acknowledged by me, so much internal chaos. And then I would recreate the internal chaos subconsciously in my external circumstances. I will never forget one time my husband, my current husband, looked at me and said, "Are you just uncomfortable when things are peaceful?" Oh my gosh, when he said that, I was like, yes, yes. And that really opened my eyes to this opportunity to create peace inside my body so that I could get more and more comfortable living in peace, in calm, in confidence, in just stability in my outside world. So I think I just took us, me, you on somewhat of a rambling journey of the power, at least the way my brain, body, mind, body experience is understanding grief. Like what am I trying to say? Understanding the power of entering our story and one another's story with love, with compassion, with listening, with leaning in to recognize that, even though dominant culture has told us there's only one way to win, what if that's where our pain, our suffering really is in not being witnessed and seen and celebrated in the uniqueness of who we are. Of course, there are so many different kinds of grief. I do think though, even when I'm working with someone who's experienced the loss, the physical loss of another human via death, I want to say so often, but I genuinely believe that every single time that I've had the privilege and honor of walking with another human being in that grief experience, in the loss of another person, that not only do they come home to that person in a unique way, they also come home to themselves in a new and unique way. And I really think that that is the comfort in grief, is coming home to ourselves and to our loved ones in a new and unique way. So next time I record, it will be from Texas. And I'm only going to be in Texas for 9 days before I come back to California, back to another magical group, and get to lead this workshop. My talking today, I keep struggling to enunciate my words, but all right, it's all a signal, it's all information. I wonder what my body is communicating right here, right now. I get to witness my own body and the way that she is working with me and working for me. So I'm kind of curious, like, what is this struggle to enunciate? What is that communicating? Like, what's there for me? So anyway, I will get to record again, get to come back to you again from the great state of Texas, and then return for another trip. So I hope you are well. I hope you feel loved, seen, and heard. Oh, I am just breathing that in for you and for me and for us. The opportunity to come together in loving witness and celebration. So until then, arms out if you want to be part of this hug, or just stay right where you are and experience the energy of me just wrapping around you and squeezing you tight. And celebrating who we are. All right, mwah, I love you, and talk again soon. All right, bye-bye.
You've been listening to Grief Heals with Lisa Michelle Zega. The podcast is produced by me, Eric Simpson, in association with Jump Up and Down Productions. Music by Ken Dalian, Drunken Nights to Sunday Mornings, and Stefan Carlin, A Calming Ocean, A Common Notion. If you would like more information about the work Lisa does, point your browsers to legityou.com. That's LEGITYOU. Lisa can also be reached at lisamichelle@legityou.com. This has been a Jump Up and Down production.